Hello, everybody. Welcome. As you're coming in, not only those who are coming on live, but I also want to thank the replay viewers. If you're coming in live, just give me a shout out. Where in the world are you this afternoon? It's this afternoon my time. I know it's other various times where you are. Just type in where you're coming in from and your name. Colorado Springs, welcome. My son is in the military and is stationed in Colorado Springs. North Dakota, oh, welcome. Brian from Detroit. Cora from Dallas. Ruby from Tucson. Welcome. We are, like I say, I'm a little past my 3 p.m. time frame. I had meant to get on here at 3 o'clock. I had a phone call that lasted a little longer than I thought it would. Lisa from Alabama, if you are brand new to one of my scopes, never been on one of my scopes before, just type in the word boom in your name so I can give you a big old shout out. Diane from Seattle. Charlotte, North Carolina. Wisconsin, boom. Amanda, welcome, Amanda. I'm so glad you're here. Jacqueline, Jody, welcome, guys. An old boomer. That's awesome. Thank you. I know several of you, well, tons of you actually tune in routinely, and I appreciate that. If you've, obviously some of you may or may not know who I am. My name is Kim Garst. I help businesses grow using the power of social and digital media. I'm a best-selling author and also the creator of one of the very first Periscope for business courses. So if you're interested at all in learning how to leverage Periscope to grow your business, you might want to check it out. It's scopingforbiz.com. Rookie boomer. Oh, that's okay. That's awesome. Welcome, Jenny. Oh, Dubai. Awesome. Hey, Ethan. Welcome. Well, just a little small housekeeping tips, guys, before we get started on today's topic, which is if you want to be being the key phrase, want to be an entrepreneur, well, you can't. Now, this topic, just so you guys know, was spawned by something that I saw on Gary Vaynerchuk's fan page a couple of days ago. And it's just been circling around in my head ever since, and it was specifically relates to one of my stories. So I wanted to share it with you guys. Thailand, welcome. Kenya, awesome. Well, guys, if you like what you hear, please feel free to tap on the screen and show the love the loves. And if you would like to share today's scope, if you feel like this is something that would be, awesome in your communities, feel free to do so. Tap on the little Perry dude down here in the corner and share it to your Periscope followers or your Twitter followers or both. You can also swipe left to right on an Android. iPhone. Sorry, I get my directions mixed up sometimes. Left to right on an iPhone, up on an Android. How's that? Okay, so every once in a while we get somebody that just doesn't need to be here. Okay, guys, as I said, and one last thing before I forget, if you can't comment, if you're watching and it's full for some reason, then please just, share it, wipe all that stuff out, use my username @KimGarst, and tweet me your comments or your questions, okay? Okay, so who's ready to get started? Thumbs up. I'm just curious if anybody was intrigued by the title, because it's kind of negative, right? I was, when I first saw it, I was like, okay, what? You can't be an entrepreneur if you want to be. So I was like, all right, I gotta grab my attention. So I of course, when Gary V talks, it's like you listen. But still, it really grabbed my attention when he said, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you can't. So some of his points were dead on, in my opinion, and I just wanted to bring them up because I have a personal story around this, and I want to share it with you. And I think it relates to something that I'm getting ready to do, because I know that it has such a powerful impact. When I started, so many years ago, over 20 years ago, I've had or owned, started, and bought numerous businesses now over the course of my time that I have been online. Started and grown businesses to 6, 7, figures. I mean, huge businesses. And yet, when I started, my goal was literally to make $200 to make the car payment. $200 was my goal when I started. I didn't know I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I had no clue that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. It was just, how can I make a little extra money to make a difference in my family? I was getting ready to go to law school, had my first child. The minute they laid him in my arms, I was like, okay, my life has changed. And so I literally just dropped everything that I had been doing. I was working as a paralegal, and I became a stay-at-home mom. Well, interestingly enough, my husband was in the military at the time, and we became, went from 2 incomes to 1. Things became very tight very quickly. We went from, having that discretionary income to no discretionary income. Borrowing from one credit card to pay another, borrowing from Peter to pay Paul. And that's when I said, I've got to do something. My why was big enough. My why was that little bundle that I had in my arms at that time. And so I decided that I had to figure out something that I could do from home, because I didn't want to put him in daycare. I wanted to be able to, raise him, be at home with him, play with him, etc. So that's why I started. I didn't, I didn't want to be an entrepreneur. It was a set of circumstances that spawned my entrepreneurship. So, there's a deeper story to this, which I'm going to reveal tonight. We're doing a blab on this topic tonight, and I'm going to tell the back end story that actually, when my back was up against it and I had no choices, that's really what took my business in a whole different direction. That ultimately, I went on to build a 7-figure business from my dining room table. So I'm going to share that tonight, but I don't want to deviate too much from the core of this topic, which is, sometimes we don't know that we're entrepreneurs necessarily. We just want to make a little bit of a difference in our family's income. But that said, once you figure out that you can make money, and you want to be an entrepreneur, there is some defining lines, in my opinion, and you have to decide. You have to decide, do you want to be an entrepreneur? Do you want to, make a bigger difference in your family, or do you want to dabble? Do you just want to put your toe in? And, Gary Vee made some really great points. He said, you can't want to be an entrepreneur. You either are or you aren't. And if you are, and if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to do the work. I mean, that is incredibly true. I meet people each and every day that say they want to be an entrepreneur, but they won't do the work. It is incredibly frustrating to me, because in some cases, these people are incredibly talented. They have so much stuff going for them, and they could be amazing if they just stepped into their own possible. So I that's one of those things. I'm like, come on, go, go, go. I'm their biggest cheerleader, and I can't get them to move. So it's so frustrating. When you're trying to help somebody, to get them to do things, that you would want them to do to see their own success. So that part's frustrating, but the reality is you can't want something for somebody more than they want for themselves. So I think that's critical. If you really want to be an entrepreneur, you got to commit to it, you got to marry it, you got to dig in, and you got to do the work. And in order to do that, some of the other things that he brought up in his little, on his fan page that I thought was dead on as well, you have to hustle. You have to get up every day. For me, my why now is very different than it was when I started years ago. My why back then was to make a little extra money to enable me to stay home with my child. Now my why is, literally, I wake up every morning saying, how can I make a difference for somebody else that was in my position way back 20 plus years ago? How can I shorten somebody else's learning curve? How can I get somebody else to cross that line that's going to give them more success in their business? For me, that is my why now. So I think your why develops, and I think it shifts. Sometimes it totally changes. It's certainly been the case for me. But I think you have to hustle. You have to want what you're going after, and do whatever that looks like. I think you also have to have a mentor. You have to figure out, especially today when things are so crowded, we get so lost in the information flow today. When I started, there was no information. I had to teach it. I had to teach myself. There was no YouTube videos. There was nobody out there that would coach me, that would share their inside secrets with me. I didn't have that, a resource. And that's one of the reasons I'm so passionate about what I do, is I have knowledge now that I can use to impact somebody else's business. And, so that's exciting for me, that somebody that I can shorten the learning curve. But I think you have to have a mentor. Cut out the noise, guys. Find people that know what you want to know and tune in there. Stop, get off of everybody's email list, tune in to 2 or 3 people that are where you want to be, and, dig in, learn what they know. You'll be stunned at how free people are with the information that they have learned themselves the hard way. So you have to have a mentor, in my opinion. And, I'll even take this one step further. And one of the things that we're talking about tonight when we're covering this exact same topic is, go to events, guys. Network with people who are where you have been, where you have been, and get to where you want to go. We're having a Social Boom event, which is and it's going to be in Chicago. It's just a few weeks away. That is a fabulous opportunity. Again, whether it's my event or anyone's event, how do you connect with the right people on a personal level? Go to events. It works. So, again, whether it's my event, somebody else's event, find events where the people that you want to learn from are there, and either are physically going to be in the speaker lineup, or maybe they're just attending that event. Regardless, you will find some amazing people to tune into and to create those relationships with. So I think that's really important. And even, one of the things Gary suggested, and I have a kind of a mixed feeling on this. I think especially when you first start out that there's application for this, but you have to find a place to draw the line eventually. And his suggestion was do whatever it takes, meaning hustle your butt off, work for free under somebody that knows what you want to know, simply to get that knowledge. And that's where I say, you have to find a place, you have to decide at some point, okay, I know enough, now I can go out and start charging other people for it. You can't work forever for free. But he had a great point in that, lots of times you can become you can work under a mentor. You can get trained for free. You can get trained by virtue of working for free. And you will never learn more than actually working under somebody who is doing exactly what you want to know. So, do the work, guys. If you really want to be an entrepreneur, you have to do the work. You have to hustle your butt off. I do believe that's true. And I think the differences between, where I started and where I find myself today is exactly this place where I get up every day and I do the work. I'm hustling. I'm not as big of or as good at hustling as Gary Vaynerchuk is. And frankly, I don't know anybody that's any better than Gary is as it relates to pure hustle. That man is a machine. He is amazing. But you do have to get your hustle on. And I think that's important. Even if it means working for free, finding a mentor that you can emulate, it's absolutely imperative. So, I just thought I'd jump on here real quick with a controversial topic. Anybody have any feedback? Do you feel like I'm on track as it relates to some people aren't quite sure yet if they want to be an entrepreneur? There, somebody's the Energizer Bunny too. There you go. I agree. I teach knowledge is key, and then we can all figure out what works for us. The reality is we all come at this from different places, and we all have different responsibilities. We all, and frankly, different circumstances. I mean, I couldn't have grown my business to where it is if I hadn't have had my husband's income, for example, as a way to pay our bills. You know, so there is caveats to all of this. You know, you can't just say, you know, well, you're not an entrepreneur if you know, don't do X, Y, Z. You know, one of the things that Gary had said in his is that you can't work two jobs. You know, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you got to quit your day job and just jump in. That's scary, and I would never recommend that personally to somebody, simply because, you know, it does take, you got to have some income, right? A second income, it makes a big difference. I mean, I literally, if it had not been for my husband's support, you know, not just the financial support, but more importantly, you know, letting me find my wings, you know, letting me continue to beat my head against the wall. Literally, when I first started, it took me almost 5 years to make my first $60. So, you know, the fact that he didn't say, you know, get out there and get a job already, you know, you're not going to make this work, is stunning to me in hindsight. But there is some things that we have to just, you can't just say you got to do this in order to succeed, in my opinion. Sarah, I agree. And, you know, I said that, you know, where I think a lot of people say they want to be an entrepreneur, and yet they won't do the work. They won't take what it, you know, they won't do what it takes to make their businesses succeed. But everybody has a different meter, I think, on success. To some people, you know, an extra $500 a month is exactly their goal, and they're okay with that. You know, it takes a special person, in my opinion, to push beyond, you know, their whatever that is. You know, for me, for example, you know, my goal was $200 when I first started. I was like, you know, if I can make an extra $200, I'll pay the car payment. That was a big deal back then. And so, and yet, as soon as I got to that goal, I kept stretching my goal set. And even to this day, I stretch my goals. So everybody has their own meter of success. I'm just watching the comments scroll by for a minute, trying to catch. I think we grow. Absolutely, Destiny. We do grow. I can certainly say that I have grown as an entrepreneur. Like I said, I had no clue when I started that I was an entrepreneur. I mean, incredible, my journey, honestly, when I look back on it. Someone helped is better to me than the money. Yes, I mean, you know, it's all a process. And then, again, it goes back to what actually drives us in our business. You know, what is our motivation? Gary is huge on value. Huge on value. He's huge on people. He speaks to my heart on so many levels, you know, as it relates to the things that we commonly believe to be true as it relates to social media. But you know, really, just based on my own experience, I was like, is that truly true? I mean, I think there's so many little winding paths that, you know, on the surface of it, I was like, yeah, that's true. But then as I got to thinking about it, I'm like, my journey was so very different. And I think a lot of people's journey is so very different as it relates to entrepreneurship. So I just thought I'd jump on here and see what everybody else thought. I am here to serve others, and through that, finances come. I'm a huge believer in that. If you lead with value, without the expectation of reward, the reward will always come. That is the way I live and have breathed my entire business. What is Gary's full name? Oh my goodness. You know, you just assume that everybody knows Gary. It's Gary Vaynerchuk, and that's Vaynerchuk. He's awesome. You definitely want to check him out. Absolutely. Somebody just made this comment, and I really want to highlight this and give you kudos, because actually you are doing it the hard way, and in a way that obviously is tougher in so many ways, in my opinion, because you're juggling so many things. So the comment was, just to put some perspective on this, the comment was that they're working a full-time job and then building their business on the side. Because they haven't quit their job, does that mean they're not committed? Absolutely not, in my opinion. In fact, I think that's it's hard to do both, because especially, if you have a family and other responsibilities and you're still trying to grow a business, it can be really, really tough. So I do not feel that you need to say, okay, I'm not an entrepreneur if I can't quit my day job to make my business thrive. You just can't. That's what I'm saying. There are situations where you can't just arbitrarily make those decisions and say, well, I'm not an entrepreneur if I don't do X, Y, Z. So I agree with you, and kudos to you. Sorry, guys. It took me 7 years to quit my full-time job and turn my business into the lead focus. Absolutely. Single moms have a huge why. True. There's Christine says she wants to quit her job and she can't yet. And, guys, like I say, I personally, in hindsight, that's one of the reasons I wanted to shed some light on this. I think there's so many variables, so many things that, you can't just say, I'm not, if you just want to be. That said, though, Gary made some great points in that the time that you do have to grow your business, you have to set aside some time. You have to hustle during that time. You have to want it. You have to do the work. So, I don't think you have to quit your job in order to be an entrepreneur. I just don't. I don't think that you necessarily have to make it everything in your life either. But I do believe that if you truly want to grow a business and you want to be an entrepreneur, and at some point in your life you want to quit your day job, you do absolutely have to do the work. So you got to hustle. Absolutely. It may just take longer. Yes, perseverance, diligence. That's a great point. I just want to highlight that real quick. It's so easy and so frustrating, frankly, when you first start. The learning curve is a bear. I mean, let's just be real. It is. The learning curve can be a bear, especially, in the social and digital space, because you got to learn all that stuff, right? And so it's easy sometimes to say, throw in the towel and say, this isn't going to work for me. If there is one thing that I can impart to anybody on this call today that is listening, that's paying attention, is this one thing. Guys, it took me almost 5 years to make my first $60. If I didn't quit and I am where I am today, then by golly, don't you quit. You only fail when you give up. So do not quit. Do not give up on yourself. Do not give up on your dream. Do not give up on your why. You keep hustling. Now, that said, we all fail each and every day. I mean, I still fail every day. If you fail, and we will, we all do. Again, we all fail. Okay, go take a hot bath, have a pity party for a little bit, and then get up the next day and you get back after it. All right? No quitting. No quitting. Do not quit on yourself. Okay, somebody asked about a move. No, I haven't moved in a while, although my husband was in the military and we moved routinely for years. The neat part about an online business was that I could just take it with me wherever I went. 2,000 tries for the light bulb, one worked, right? Actually it's 1,999 times that it didn't work. So, most people would say, well, when are you going to give this up? It's not going to work. It just goes back to my story about, why in the world did my husband not tell me, Kim, get out there and get a job. We can't make this work. We were down to literally no money. And I had a story. Again, I had something happen in my business way back when that I'm going to share tonight. So you guys, if you would jump on the Blab tonight, I've got a Blab going on. It's blab.im. The topic again is, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you can't. We're going to have special guests, which are going to include Subi Zimmerman, Heather Hyman, and Jilly Sue, who is on the call today, or on the call right now. Sorry, there she is. Hey, Jilly Sue. So it's going to be at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. both Heather and Jill Heather came to Social Boom last year, and that experience has changed her business in a revolutionary way. Honestly, I mean, we have had a number of people, frankly, that have come to our events in the past, and it's been a game changer. So she's going to share her story about that. You know, finding a mentor, finding mentors, and how that value proposition has changed her business. Jilly Sue has coached with me for years. She's doing some amazing things. Subi Zimmerman has owned like multitudes of businesses, 18 I think. She's got me beat by a ways. But still, lots of experiences, lots of failures, lots of successes. And then how did you get there? Oh, thank you, Jilly Sue. Thank you for saying that, girlie. You're just one of the, so much possible, so much possible. Blab, yes, it's blab.im. So you'll be able to see all of us and hear all of us. So it'll be kind of like a mini Periscope. No, it's like four Periscopes in one view, and it is web-based. So it's not when I say web-based, it actually is a phone app as well. You can download it and put it on your phone too. Yes, Subi Zimmerman is awesome. I hustle every day and my husband supports me, but if you're not married, find an encourager. That's a great point too, guys. I will also take that one step further and say, you are who you surround yourself with. I'm a huge believer in this, and I've shared this with my boys for years. I'm not sure it's sunk in yet, but I'm always telling them, you are the sum of your 5 closest associates or friends. And if you have negative friends, that feeds into that, negative Nelly stuff. You don't need that. It's not to say you have to get rid of all your friends or whatever, but you do have to surround yourself with other people who have a mindset that you want to achieve. Having that, kind of the positive side in your head, in your voice, in your ear is going to take you much further than having, the other negative Nelly on your shoulder. You do need it. Oh, the neat part though, guys, let me just share this too. I saw Christine's comment just scroll by. Tune into people here on Periscope that you feel like has a voice and a message that resonates with you. That's the neat part about Periscope is you don't necessarily have to, your neighbor may not be somebody that, shares a vision like you want or have for your life. But you can find like-minded people on social media. You can find like-minded people who are, going the same direction you want to go. Tune into those people and, feed off of their energy. Try to connect with them so that you have that opportunity. Sure. Thank you. Thank you. Well, guys, I just want to jump on here real quick. Absolutely, Christine. Thank you. I see Charlene Johnson is in the house. Welcome. And you can start your own mastermind. That's a great point, too. Great. Yes. All right, guys. Well, tune in tonight if you can. We're going to, like I said, I'm going to share my desperation story that put me on the path to success. Desperation breeds amazing things sometimes. Sometimes it can make you spiral. In my case, my back was up against the wall and I used it. So I'm going to share that story tonight. I've only shared it a handful of times, but I'm going to share it tonight on the Blab. So guys, come out and check it out. It's going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's the same topic, guys. Okay. Thank you, guys. We will see you later. Take care. God bless.